The impossible challenge. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 10,000 alien leaders sat in their seats, waiting. The massive dome above them showed stars and distant planets. Today was special. Today, Empress Zalvera would make an announcement that would change everything. The Empress walked to the center stage. She was tall, with purple skin and golden eyes that seemed to glow. Her black armor shined under the lights. She ruled over 300 planets. She was powerful, she was feared, and she was bored. "My fellow council members," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "For years, you have all wanted my empire. You have tried to buy it. You have tried to steal it. You have failed," the audience murmured. Where was she going with this? The Empress smiled. It was not a kind smile. She pressed a button on her wrist device. Behind her, a massive steel cage rose from the floor. The entire hall shook. Inside the cage, something moved in the shadows. "Behold," the Empress said, "the Shadow Reaper." The lights hit the cage. Everyone gasped. The creature inside was enormous. It stood 15 feet tall, with black scales that looked like sharp knives. Its eyes glowed blood red. 6 arms, each ending in claws that could slice through metal. A tail with spikes that dripped poison. Teeth like daggers. This was not just a predator. This was death itself. "This beast," the Empress continued, "has killed 10,000 of my best warriors, generals, champions, heroes, all dead. The longest anyone has survived with it was 58 seconds. She paused, letting that sink in. "I am bored of ruling. So I offer you this challenge. Tame this monster, make it obey you. If you succeed, my entire empire is yours. Every planet, every ship, every treasure, all of it." The hall exploded with noise. Aliens shouted. Some laughed, some looked excited, most looked terrified. "Surely, Your Majesty," said a tall alien with 4 eyes. "This is impossible. No one can tame that thing." The Empress laughed. It was a cold, mocking sound. "Exactly, that is the fun of it." One by one, brave aliens stepped forward. A warrior from the Kralin system, famous for his strength. A psychic from Andromeda who could control minds. A robot with advanced combat systems. All of them stared at the Shadow Reaper. All of them stepped back. No one wanted to die today. The Empress looked disappointed. "What? The mighty council is afraid? Perhaps I should keep my empire after all." Then, from the back of the hall, a hand went up. Everyone turned to look. It was a human. He was average height, maybe 6 feet tall, brown hair, simple clothes, no armor, no weapons. He looked ordinary. The aliens started laughing. "A human?" someone shouted. "Humans are weak! He will die in 10 seconds. This is a joke." The human walked down the aisle. His name was Jack Morrison. He was from Earth, a small planet that had just joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. He worked as an animal trainer back home. The Empress studied him with interest. "Human, do you understand what you are volunteering for? That creature will tear you apart." Jack looked at the Shadow Reaper. The beast looked back at him. Its red eyes burned with hate. "I understand," Jack said quietly. "May I enter the cage?" The Empress grinned. "This would be entertaining. If you survive 5 minutes, I will be impressed. If you survive 10, I will consider you lucky. Guards, open the arena." The massive doors opened. Jack stepped inside. The cage door slammed shut behind him. The Shadow Reaper roared. The sound shook the walls. Aliens covered their ears. Everyone expected blood. Everyone expected screaming. Everyone expected death. But Jack did something no one expected. He closed his eyes, he took a deep breath, and he stood perfectly still. The Shadow Reaper charged at him, claws ready to kill. The crowd screamed, but then the beast stopped, 1 foot away from Jack's face. The entire hall went silent. What was this human doing? The first connection. The Shadow Reaper's hot breath hit Jack's face. Its claws were inches from his throat. One move, and he would die. But Jack did not open his eyes. He did not run. He simply breathed. In, out, slow, calm, controlled. The beast growled. A deep rumbling sound that made the ground shake. Its 6 arms twitched, ready to strike, but something was wrong. Every other creature that entered this cage had screamed, had begged, had attacked, had shown fear. This human showed nothing. The Empress leaned forward on her throne. Her golden eyes narrowed. "What is he doing?" she whispered. "He is doing nothing, Your Majesty," her advisor replied, confused. "Exactly," she said, "and that is what makes it interesting." The Shadow Reaper circled Jack slowly. Its red eyes studied him. It sniffed the air around him. Humans were supposed to be prey, weak, easy to kill. But this one did not smell like prey. There was no fear scent, no panic chemicals, just calm. Jack's mind traveled back in time. He was 7 years old again, standing in the woods near his home on Earth. A wild wolf stood before him, teeth bared. His father had taught him the rule: never run from a predator, son. Running triggers their hunting instinct. Stand still. Show respect. Let them decide you are not a threat. That day, the wolf had walked away. Jack opened his eyes slowly. He did not look directly at the Shadow Reaper. Direct eye contact meant challenge. Instead, he looked slightly to the side, a sign of respect in the animal kingdom. Then he did something that made the entire council gasp. He sat down, on the ground, in front of the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. "He has lost his mind!" an alien shouted. "The human is suicidal!" another yelled. But Jack knew what he was doing. Sitting made him smaller, less threatening. It was a universal language among predators. "I am not here to fight you." The Shadow Reaper tilted its massive head, its 6 arms lowered slightly. This was different, confusing. Jack spoke, his voice soft and low. "You are not a monster, are you? You are just scared." The beast snarled, but there was something else in that sound, something deeper than anger. Pain. Jack noticed something the others had not. On the Shadow Reaper's neck, beneath the thick metal collar, there were scars. Old ones, deep ones, burns, cuts, torture marks. His eyes widened with realization. "They hurt you," he whispered. "They made you this way." Suddenly, memories flooded his mind, his own past. He had not always been an animal trainer. 10 years ago, he was a soldier. He had seen war. He had seen good people turned into weapons. He had seen trauma create monsters. He left the military because he could not handle what they did to living beings. Now, looking at this creature, he saw the same thing. A victim turned into a weapon. The Shadow Reaper moved closer. Its massive claws dug into the ground next to Jack's leg. One wrong move from the human, and those claws would cut him in half. But Jack slowly extended his hand, palm up, open, vulnerable. "I know what it feels like," he said quietly. "To be used, to be hurt, to have everyone fear you when you just want the pain to stop." The beast's red eyes flickered. For just a moment, they seemed less angry, almost sad. The Empress watched, her heart beating faster. No one had ever gotten this close. What was this human secret? An alien prince in the audience stood up, his face red with jealousy. "This is a trick. He must be using illegal mind control technology. Guards, scan him." 4 guards rushed to the viewing screens. Advanced scanners swept over Jack's body, checking for devices, weapons, drugs, psychic implants, anything. The head guard turned to the Empress. "Your Majesty, he has nothing. No technology, no enhancements. He is just a human." The Empress's eyes went wide. "Impossible!" Inside the cage, the Shadow Reaper lowered its head, slowly, carefully. It sniffed Jack's open hand. The crowd held their breath. Jack remained perfectly still. "That is it," he whispered. "Take your time. I am not going anywhere." The beast's tongue, rough and hot, touched his palm for just a second. Contact. The first gentle contact it had felt in 20 years. Then everything went wrong. Beep, beep, beep. The collar on the Shadow Reaper's neck started flashing red. A warning alarm screamed through the arena. The Empress's face went pale. "No! The Rage Protocol!" "What is happening?" Jack asked, his voice urgent. The advisor's voice boomed through the speakers. The beast's heart rate dropped below attack level. "The collar's automatic defense system is activating. It will inject rage chemicals in 30 seconds. Jack looked at the collar. It was a torture device, designed to keep the creature violent. Whenever it became calm, the collar would force it back into aggression. They never wanted it to be tamed. They wanted it to be a killer forever. The Shadow Reaper began to shake. Its eyes started glowing brighter. The chemicals were already entering its bloodstream. "Get out of there, human!" someone shouted. But Jack did not move. Instead, he looked at the scars on the beast's neck, at the collar that caused them. 25 seconds. He stood up slowly. The Shadow Reaper's muscles tensed, fighting the chemicals, fighting its own body. 20 seconds. Jack reached toward the collar. "I am going to help you," he said firmly. The beast snarled but did not attack. It was trying so hard to stay calm. 15 seconds. The Empress stood from her throne. "Stop! That collar cannot be removed. It is locked with quantum encryption. Even I cannot open it." Jack's fingers touched the metal. It was hot, burning. He felt the vibrations of the machine inside, pumping poison into this creature's body. 10 seconds. His mind raced. He had studied engineering before becoming a trainer. Quantum locks had a weakness. All machines did. 5 seconds. He found it. A heat vent. A tiny opening where the internal systems released excess energy. 3 seconds. He grabbed the collar with both hands, jamming his thumbs into the vent opening. 2 seconds. He pulled with all his strength, muscles screaming, the metal cutting into his hands, blood dripping. 1 second. Crack! The collar broke. It fell to the ground, sparking and smoking. The rage chemicals stopped. The Shadow Reaper collapsed. Its massive body hit the floor, exhausted, shaking, free for the first time in 2 decades. Jack knelt beside it, his hands bleeding but his eyes gentle. He placed his hand on the beast's head. "You are free now," he whispered. "No more pain." The Shadow Reaper looked at him. Its red eyes were fading to a softer amber color. The rage was leaving. The real creature was emerging. It made a sound, not a roar, not a growl, a purr, a deep, rumbling, grateful purr. The entire council sat in shock. Silence filled the massive hall. Then the Empress's voice cut through the air like a blade. "No!" Her face was dark with rage. She stood, her fists clenched. "You cheated! You broke my property! You violated the rules of the challenge!" She pressed a button on her throne. Alarms blared. 100 armed guards materialized around the arena. Weapons charged and aimed. "Guards!" the Empress commanded, her voice cold as ice. "Kill them both!" Breaking the chains. The air crackled with energy. 100 plasma rifles aimed at Jack and the Shadow Reaper. Red targeting dots covered their bodies like a deadly constellation. The guards' fingers hovered over triggers. One command, and they would both become ash. Jack stood slowly, his bleeding hands raised. The Shadow Reaper lifted its massive head, amber eyes blazing with new awareness. It could feel the danger, feel the weapons. But it did not run. It positioned itself between Jack and the guards, protecting him. The Empress's face twisted with fury. "How dare you? That beast is my weapon, my property. You had no right to free it." Jack's voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "Property? You mean a living being that you tortured for 20 years? Gasps echoed through the council chamber. Several alien leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This was getting dangerous, political, real. "Silence," the Empress screamed. "I am Empress Zalvera. I rule 300 worlds. You are nothing but a worthless human from a primitive planet. Guards, fire!" "Wait!" the voice boomed across the hall. It came from Councillor Thresh, an ancient being made of living crystal. He was one of the oldest members of the Galactic Council. When he spoke, people listened. "Empress Zalvera," Thresh said slowly, his voice like grinding stones. "You made a public declaration. The challenge was to tame the beast. This human has done exactly that." "He broke the collar," the Empress shrieked. "The collar was not part of the challenge rules," another councillor added. "You said only tame the creature. He has done so." The Empress's eyes darted around the room. She was losing control, losing face, losing power. She could not allow that. "The challenge is not over," she said, her voice dropping to something darker, more dangerous. "He must prove the beast obeys him, truly obeys him." She smiled, a terrible smile. "Shadow Reaper," she commanded, her voice amplified by ancient technology that had controlled the beast for years. "Kill the human, now." The command echoed through the arena. It was embedded in the creature's mind through decades of conditioning, Pavlovian control. When the Empress commanded, the beast obeyed. Always. The Shadow Reaper's body went rigid. Its muscles tensed. The amber in its eyes flickered back toward red, not from the collar, from memory, from years of programmed responses. Kill, obey, kill, obey. Jack could see the war happening inside the creature. Its 6 arms began to shake. Its claws extended. The internal battle was tearing it apart. The Empress laughed. "You see? You cannot free what I have broken. It will always be mine. Even without the collar, I own its mind." The guards tightened their aim. If the beast attacked Jack, they would execute both of them. Jack did not step back. He did not raise his hands to defend himself. Instead, he did something that made the Empress's smile falter. He stepped closer to the Shadow Reaper. "Jack Morrison, what are you doing?" Councillor Thresh whispered urgently. Jack placed his bleeding hand on the beast's scarred neck, right where the collar had been, where the wounds were deepest. "Listen to me," Jack said softly, looking into those conflicted eyes. "I know the voice in your head is loud. I know it has controlled you for so long that it feels like truth." The Shadow Reaper trembled. A low whine escaped its throat. "But I also know something she does not," Jack continued. "I know that you remember. Somewhere deep inside, you remember what you were before she took you." Flashback images flooded Jack's mind. Not his memories, the beast's memories, shared through touch, through connection. A young Shadow Reaper, barely the size of a human, playing in purple forests under 3 moons. A mother's gentle call, brothers and sisters tumbling in golden grass. Peace, family, joy, then darkness, cages, pain. The Empress's scientists turning a child into a weapon. Tears rolled down Jack's face as he felt the creature's entire lifetime of agony. "You were just a baby," he whispered. "She stole you, hurt you, made you forget who you really are." The Shadow Reaper's eyes locked onto his. The red was fading. The amber was returning, brighter now. "But I see you," Jack said. "Not the weapon, not the monster. I see the person you were meant to be." The Empress's voice cracked like a whip. "Kill him! I command you!" The Shadow Reaper's head snapped toward her. Its lips pulled back, showing rows of razor teeth. But not at Jack, at the Empress. A growl erupted from its chest, deep, primal, filled with 20 years of rage at the right target. "No!" the Empress breathed, stepping back. "Impossible!" The beast took one thunderous step toward her throne. The guards swung their weapons toward the creature. "Your Majesty, should we—" "Fire! Fire at it now!" The Empress screamed, her composure shattered. Energy blasts erupted from 100 weapons. Blue plasma streaked through the air, enough firepower to level a building. But the Shadow Reaper was no longer the slow, controlled weapon the Empress had designed. It was wild, free, and protecting its friend. It moved like liquid shadow. 6 arms became a blur. Claws deflected plasma bolts, sending them ricocheting into walls and ceilings. Its armored scales absorbed direct hits that would have killed any other creature. Its tail whipped out, disarming guards in a sweeping arc. "Jack," the beast's voice rumbled. Not a roar, a word, broken and rough, but a word. It could speak. It had never been allowed to speak before. Jack's eyes went wide. "I hear you!" The Shadow Reaper crouched low. An invitation. Jack understood. He ran and jumped onto the creature's back, gripping the thick scales. The beast's 6 arms wrapped protectively around him, creating a shield of claws and armor. "Stop them!" the Empress commanded. "Lock down the arena. Activate the defense grid." Massive energy barriers began materializing around the chamber, escape routes sealed. The sealing cannons activated, tracking the Shadow Reaper's movements. But then something unexpected happened. Other sounds joined the chaos, roaring, howling, screeching. Along the walls of the Grand Hall were smaller cages, cages that held other creatures the Empress had captured, other weapons she was creating, a serpent made of living fire, a wolf-like beast with crystal fur, a bird with metal wings that could slice through steel. All of them had watched Jack free the Shadow Reaper. All of them wanted freedom too. The fire serpent melted its cage bars. The crystal wolf shattered its prison. The metal bird sliced through its containment field. One by one, the imprisoned creatures broke free. "Containment breach!" a guard shouted. "Multiple sectors! We cannot—" The crystal wolf leaped into the guard formation, scattering them. The fire serpent created walls of flame, cutting off reinforcements. The metal bird dive-bombed the ceiling cannons, destroying them in explosions of sparks. Chaos consumed the Grand Hall. Councillors screamed and ran for emergency exits. Guards tried to restore order but were overwhelmed. Alarms blared. Smoke filled the air. Through it all, the Shadow Reaper moved with purpose. It was not killing. Despite its power, despite its rage at the Empress, it was only disarming guards, knocking them aside, showing mercy. Jack had taught it something in those few minutes together. Strength did not mean cruelty. The Shadow Reaper crashed through a wall, creating an opening. The other freed creatures followed, roaring their gratitude. They disappeared into the corridors of the massive station, seeking escape routes. But the Shadow Reaper did not run. It turned back toward the throne room. The Empress was running. Her royal guards surrounded her, escorting her toward her private chambers, towards safety. "We cannot let her escape," Jack said. "She will do this again, to other creatures, other worlds." The Shadow Reaper nodded. It understood justice. They charged through the smoke and chaos. Guards tried to stop them, but were swept aside like toys. The creature's power, combined with Jack's tactical mind, made them unstoppable. They cornered the Empress at the entrance to her throne room. Her guards raised weapons, but she held up a hand, stopping them. She stood tall, trying to reclaim her dignity. "You think you have won?" she said coldly. "You think this changes anything?" She pulled out a small device from her armor, a black sphere covered in red symbols. Jack's blood went cold. He recognized it from his military days, a planetary destruction device. "This station orbits my capital world," the Empress said, her voice shaking with rage. 3 billion souls live on that planet. If I activate this, the station's core will overload. The explosion will destroy everything within 10 million kilometers. She held her thumb over the activation button. "If I cannot rule my empire, then no one will. I would rather see it burn than give it to a worthless human and a broken beast." The guards backed away from her, horrified. Even her most loyal followers did not expect this. Councillors who had been watching from safe distances froze. This was madness. The Shadow Reaper growled, ready to attack, but Jack placed a hand on its scaled arm. "Wait!" He slid off the creature's back and walked toward the Empress, unarmed, unafraid. "What are you doing?" she hissed. Jack stopped 3 feet away from her. He looked into her golden eyes. Behind the rage, behind the pride, he saw something else. Fear, loneliness, pain. "You are just like the Shadow Reaper," he said quietly. Her eyes widened. "How dare you?" "You were hurt once," Jack continued. "Someone broke you, made you believe that power was the only way to be safe, that if you showed weakness, you would be destroyed." His words hit her like physical blows. Her hand trembled on the device. "You are wrong," she whispered. "I am strong. I am powerful. I am—" "Alone," Jack said gently. "You are completely alone. And you have been alone for so long that you forgot what trust feels like." A single tear rolled down the Empress's purple cheek. "I do not know how to be anything else," she admitted, her voice breaking. Jack extended his hand, the same hand he had offered to the Shadow Reaper, open, vulnerable, trusting. "Then let me teach you." The beast chooses time stopped. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The Empress stared at Jack's outstretched hand. Her thumb still hovered over the button that would kill billions. One press, 1 second, everything would end. Behind Jack, the Shadow Reaper watched, its amber eyes locked on the Empress. Every muscle in its massive body was coiled, ready to strike if she made the wrong choice. But it did not attack. It trusted Jack. That trust was about to be tested. The Empress's face hardened. Her golden eyes turned cold again. "You think your words can save you? You think kindness is strength?" She laughed, a broken, bitter sound. "I was kind once, human. When I was young, when I believed in peace." Her voice cracked. "They destroyed my entire family because of my kindness. They called me weak. They took everything." Her finger tightened on the button. "I will never be weak again." Jack did not lower his hand. "Killing billions will not bring them back. It will only prove that the ones who hurt you were right. That pain creates monsters." "I am not a monster," she screamed. "Then prove it," Jack said calmly. "Put down the device." For a moment, just a flicker, her resolve wavered. Then a voice shattered the moment. "Your Majesty, reinforcements have arrived." Through the smoke and chaos, a fleet commander appeared with 50 elite guards. These were not ordinary soldiers. They wore black armor embedded with energy shields, carried weapons that could punch through starship hulls. The commander, a scarred alien with 4 arms, knelt before the Empress. "We have sealed all exits. The rebels are trapped. Give the order, and we will eliminate the human and the escaped creatures." The Empress's eyes lit up with renewed power. She was not alone anymore. She had her army, her control. She smiled at Jack. "You see, I do not need to destroy the planet. I have already won." She raised her voice, commanding, "Kill the human. Recapture the Shadow Reaper. Use the pain collars if necessary." The elite guards raised their weapons, advanced targeting systems locked onto Jack's heart, his brain, vital organs. These shots would not miss. The Shadow Reaper roared and stepped in front of Jack, ready to shield him with its own body. But then something impossible happened. 3 of the elite guards lowered their weapons, then 5 more, then 10. The fleet commander's eyes widened. "What are you doing? I gave you an order." One guard, a young female alien with blue skin, stepped forward. She removed her helmet. Her eyes were filled with tears. "No," she said simply, "I will not do this anymore." "Traitor," the commander snarled. "You will be executed for—" "We are all traitors then," another guard interrupted, stepping beside her, "because we are all tired." More guards removed their helmets. Males, females, different species, different worlds, but all with the same exhausted expression. "For 20 years we have served the Empress," the blue-skinned guard said. We have conquered planets that did not deserve conquest. We have imprisoned beings that only wanted peace. We have become the monsters of the galaxy." She looked at Jack and the Shadow Reaper. "But today, we watched a human risk his life to free a creature everyone called unredeemable. We watched him offer mercy to an empress who deserves none." She turned to the Empress. "Your Majesty, I have served you since I was 15 years old. I have bled for you, killed for you, but I will not kill an innocent man who showed us what real strength looks like." The Empress's face went white with rage. "You swore loyalty. You swore oaths." "We swore to protect the Empire," the guard replied, "not to destroy it with madness." The commander drew his personal weapon, aiming at the defiant guard. "I will execute you myself." A massive clawed hand grabbed his wrist. The Shadow Reaper had moved silently behind him. Its amber eyes stared into his soul. "Drop! Weapon!" The beast growled in broken speech. The commander's weapon clattered to the floor. The Empress stumbled backward. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling. Her soldiers were abandoning her. Her ultimate weapon had turned against her. She still held the destruction device, but her hand was shaking violently now. "Stay back," she warned. "All of you! I will do it. I will destroy everything." Jack stepped forward. "You could, but then what? You will be dead. Your empire will be ash. Your name will be remembered as the mad empress who murdered her own people." "Better feared than forgotten," she cried. "Is it?" Jack asked gently. "Is that really what you want? To be another monster in history books, another warning tale parents tell their children?" The Empress's legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees, still clutching the device. "What else is there?" she whispered. "What else can I be?" Jack knelt beside her. "You can be someone who stops the cycle, someone who heals instead of hurts." "It is too late," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I have done terrible things, unforgivable things." "Then spend the rest of your life making up for them," Jack replied. "You cannot change the past, but you can change what happens next." The Shadow Reaper approached slowly. Its massive form cast a shadow over the Empress. She flinched, expecting death, but the creature simply lowered its head and looked at her with those amber eyes. No hate, no revenge, just understanding. Because the Shadow Reaper knew what it meant to be a prisoner of your own pain. The Empress stared at the beast she had tortured for 20 years, the weapon she had created, and it was showing her mercy. Something broke inside her. She dropped the destruction device. It rolled across the floor, harmless. The Empress covered her face with her hands and wept, not the calculated tears of manipulation. Real tears, 20 years of buried grief and guilt pouring out. "I am sorry," she sobbed. "I am so sorry." The Shadow Reaper made a soft rumbling sound, not quite a purr, not quite forgiveness, but acknowledgement. Jack picked up the destruction device and handed it to the blue-skinned guard. "Make sure this is destroyed, properly." She nodded. "It will be done." Suddenly the Grand Hall's communication system activated. Councillor Thresh's crystal face appeared on every screen. "This emergency session of the Galactic Council is now in order," his voice boomed. "We have witnessed the events of the past hour. We have reviewed all footage and testimony." The Empress looked up, fear in her eyes. "Empress Zalvera," Thresh continued, "you stand accused of crimes against sentient life, torture, illegal genetic experimentation, imprisonment without trial, attempted mass murder, and violation of 73 interstellar treaties." The Empress closed her eyes. "I understand. I am ready for execution." "The Council does not seek your execution," Thresh said. "We seek justice." He paused, his ancient eyes somehow conveying wisdom even through a screen. "You are hereby removed from power, effective immediately. Your empire will be dissolved and reorganized under council supervision. You will face trial for your crimes." The Empress nodded slowly, accepting her fate. "However," Thresh added, The Council recognizes that this human, Jack Morrison of Earth, successfully completed the challenge you declared. He tamed the Shadow Reaper. Therefore, according to your own public decree, the Empire is his." Every eye turned to Jack. He stood there, covered in dust and blood, next to a creature everyone had feared hours ago. "I do not want an empire," Jack said clearly. Shocked whispers filled the hall. "I did not do this for power," Jack continued. "I did it because no living being deserves to be treated as a weapon, not the Shadow Reaper, not the other creatures you imprisoned, not even the Empress." He looked at Thresh. "But I do have a request." "Speak," the counselor said. "Give me the resources to build a sanctuary, a place where misunderstood creatures can heal, where beings that society calls monsters can learn to be whole again." The Shadow Reaper rumbled its approval. "And," Jack added, looking at the broken Empress, "give her a choice, prison or work at the sanctuary, help heal the damage she caused." The council chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for harsh punishment, others saw wisdom in Jack's mercy. Councillor Thresh raised a crystalline hand. Silence fell. "The human's proposal is unconventional, but these are unconventional times." He looked at the Empress. "Zalvera, what say you?" The Empress stood slowly. Her royal bearing was gone. She looked smaller now, vulnerable. "I do not deserve mercy," she said, "but if you will allow it, I would like to try to heal, to help instead of hurt." "Then it is decided," Thresh declared. "Jack Morrison of Earth is granted full authority to establish the Galactic Sanctuary. Former Empress Zalvera will serve there under his supervision for a minimum of 20 years. Her fate after that will depend on her actions." The gavel sound echoed through the hall. It was done, but the real challenge was just beginning. Suddenly, alarms blared again, different this time, not from the station, from outside. The blue-skinned guard checked her communicator. Her face went pale. "What is it?" Jack asked. "The creatures that escaped during the chaos," she said urgently. "They have not fled. They are gathering." On the view screens, external cameras showed the impossible. The fire serpent, the crystal wolf, the metal bird, and dozens of other freed creatures were circling the station, not attacking, not fleeing, waiting. "What do they want?" the former Empress whispered. The Shadow Reaper walked to the massive window overlooking space. It placed one clawed hand against the glass. The other creatures outside mirrored the gesture. Jack understood. They are waiting for permission, waiting to be told they are really free. He walked to the window beside the Shadow Reaper, placed his human hand next to the creature's claw. "You are all free," he said loudly. "No more cages, no more pain. You can go home to your worlds. Or—" he paused. "Or you can come with us. Help us build something new, a place where you are not weapons or monsters, just yourselves." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the fire serpent roared, not in anger, in joy. The crystal wolf howled. The metal bird screeched. One by one, every freed creature called out their answer. Yes, they would stay, they would help, they would build this sanctuary together. Jack smiled. It was the first genuine smile since this whole ordeal began. The Shadow Reaper looked down at him. In its amber eyes there was something new, hope. But deep in the shadows of the station, something moved. A figure in black armor watched the celebrations through hidden cameras. The fleet commander who had drawn his weapon, who the Shadow Reaper had disarmed. He had slipped away in the chaos. Now he activated a secret communication channel. His message was encrypted, sent across the galaxy to forces unknown. "The Empress has fallen," he whispered. "The human has the beast's loyalty, and the Council supports him." A distorted voice replied, "And the sanctuary location?" "Not chosen yet, but when it is, I will know." "Good, the others will be pleased. A sanctuary full of powerful creatures, all in one place. all trusting, all vulnerable. The commander smiled darkly. It will be the greatest trap in galactic history. The communication ended. In the Grand Hall, Jack and the Shadow Reaper stood together, watching the freed creatures dance in space. Neither of them knew that their hardest battle was yet to come, that something ancient and evil had just learned of their plans and was already moving its pieces into position. The new Empire, 3 months had passed since the Grand Hall incident. Jack stood at the edge of a cliff on planet Serenity 7, watching the twin suns set over his creation. The galactic sanctuary stretched across the valley below. Massive biodomes housed different environments: forests, oceans, deserts, ice fields, each one designed for creatures that had been called monsters, that had been weapons, that were now learning to live again. The Shadow Reaper stood beside him, no longer covered in scars. Its scales had healed to a natural dark blue. Its eyes remained amber, warm and intelligent. "Beautiful," the beast said. Its speech had improved with practice. Jack smiled. "We did it. Together." Below them, the fire serpent played in a lava pool, content for the first time in decades. The crystal wolf ran with a pack of smaller creatures it had adopted as family. The metal bird soared through open skies, no longer forced to be a weapon, and working among them, teaching them, helping them heal, was the former Empress Zalvera. She wore simple clothes now. No armor, no crown. Her hands, once used to command armies, now cleaned wounds and prepared food for the creatures she had once tortured. Jack watched her through the observation window. "She has changed." "Pain changes everyone," the Shadow Reaper replied. "Choice decides what we become after." It was true. The Empress had chosen healing. Every day she worked harder than anyone. Every night she recorded personal apologies to each creature, even though most could not yet forgive her. But forgiveness was not the point. Growth was. Jack's communicator buzzed. It was the blue-skinned guard, now head of sanctuary security. Her name was Lyra. "Jack, we have incoming visitors. A diplomatic ship. They are requesting permission to land." "Did they identify themselves?" Jack asked. "Yes." Lyra paused. "It is Councillor Thresh and representatives from 40 different worlds. They say they have creatures they want to bring to the sanctuary." Jack's heart swelled. "Tell them they are welcome." Within the hour, the diplomatic ship landed. But Councillor Thresh was not alone. Behind him came dozens of smaller ships. Each one carried creatures that their worlds had imprisoned, experimented on, or feared. A giant from the ice moons, considered too dangerous to live among normal society. A shapeshifter that governments wanted to use as a spy. A childlike being with psychic powers that terrified its own parents. All of them outcasts. All of them afraid. Thresh's crystalline form approached Jack. "The galaxy has been watching your sanctuary. What you have built here is revolutionary." "We just gave them what everyone deserves," Jack said. "A chance." "Indeed." Thresh gestured to the ships. "These worlds have heard of your success with the Shadow Reaper. They wish to send their troubled beings here, to learn, to heal." Jack looked at the scared faces peering from the ships. So many, too many. But he nodded. "Send them all. We will make room." As the new arrivals began disembarking, something felt wrong. Jack could not explain it, just a feeling in his gut. The same feeling he had gotten in combat zones moments before ambushes. He pulled Lyra aside. "Double the perimeter scans. Something does not feel right." She trusted his instincts. "I will personally oversee it." That night, the sanctuary held a welcome ceremony. Fire pits were lit. Food was shared. The new creatures were introduced to the others, shown that they were safe here. The giant from the ice moons wept when the crystal wolf approached him without fear. The shapeshifter laughed for the first time in years when the fire serpent played a game with them. The psychic child found peace in the Shadow Reaper's calm presence. It was beautiful, until the screaming started. Explosions rocked the northern biodome. Alarms blared, security systems activated. Jack ran toward the chaos, the Shadow Reaper at his side. Through the smoke, figures emerged, soldiers in black armor, the same armor worn by the Empress's elite guard. But these were not deserters who had joined the sanctuary. These were loyalists, led by the fleet commander who had escaped months ago. He stood at the center of 50 armed troops, all weapons aimed at the fleeing creatures. "Jack Morrison," the commander shouted, "your little experiment ends tonight." "Who sent you?" Jack demanded. The commander laughed. "You think the Empress was the only one who profited from weaponized creatures? She was small time compared to the real powers." Behind the soldiers, massive cargo ships descended. Their holds opened, revealing advanced capture technology, stasis fields, pain collars, cages. "The others have been watching," the commander continued, "waiting for you to gather all these powerful beings in one convenient location. Now we take them, sell them to the highest bidders, warlords, crime syndicates, anyone who pays." Jack's blood ran cold. This was a trap. He had led these creatures into a trap. "You will not touch them," Jack said, his voice deadly calm. "And who will stop us? You? One human?" The commander raised his weapon. "Kill him! Capture the creatures, all of them!" The soldiers advanced. But they had made a critical mistake. They assumed the creatures would run, would hide, would be easy prey like before. They were wrong. These creatures had spent 3 months learning something new, something the galaxy had denied them their entire lives. They had learned to trust, to work together, to be a family. The Shadow Reaper roared, not a roar of rage, a roar of protection. The fire serpent erupted from the ground, creating walls of flame that separated the soldiers from the vulnerable creatures. The crystal wolf's howl shattered the stasis field projectors before they could activate. The metal bird dove, slicing through weapons with surgical precision. The ice giant created barriers of frozen air, blocking energy blasts. The shapeshifter became a mirror image of the commander, confusing the troops about who to follow. The psychic child linked minds with every creature, coordinating their defense without words. And at the center of it all, the former Empress Zalvera stood with a group of young creatures behind her, shielding them with her own body. "You want them?" she shouted at the commander. "You go through me first." The commander's face twisted with disgust. "You are pathetic. A fallen empress defending the very beast she created." "I know what I was," she replied. "That is exactly why I know what you are, and I will not let you become me." The battle was fierce, but short. The soldiers had weapons and numbers, but the creatures had something stronger: purpose. Within minutes, the invaders were disarmed and surrounded. The commander knelt on the ground, defeated. Counselor Thresh's ship had remained in orbit, observing. Now his voice came through the communicators. "Commander Vex, you and your conspirators are under arrest for attempted kidnapping, weapons trafficking, and violation of sanctuary law." Council enforcement ships appeared in the sky, their weapons locked on the black-armored troops. It was over. But Jack knew this was just the beginning. Vex had said, "the others." There were more out there, more who saw the sanctuary as an opportunity for profit. As the soldiers were taken away, Jack gathered everyone in the central dome. Hundreds of creatures, dozens of species, all looking at him. "Today, we were attacked," Jack said, "and it will not be the last time. There are those in the galaxy who see you as products, as weapons, as things to be used." Frightened murmurs rippled through the crowd. "But today, you proved something," Jack continued, his voice growing stronger. "You proved that you are not victims anymore. You are survivors, protectors, family." The Shadow Reaper stepped forward. "We together." The fire serpent hissed agreement. The crystal wolf howled, the metal bird screeched. One by one, every creature voiced their commitment. They would stay, they would fight, they would protect each other. The former empress approached Jack quietly. "I know I have no right to ask, but may I stay? Not as punishment, as choice. This is where I belong now." Jack studied her face. The pride was gone. The cruelty was gone. What remained was someone genuinely trying to be better. "Yes," he said, "you can stay." She smiled, a real smile. "Thank you." Weeks passed. The sanctuary grew stronger. Word spread across the galaxy. Planets that had feared their unusual citizens began sending them to Jack instead of imprisoning them. Scientists who wanted to study these beings came to learn, not exploit. The sanctuary became something no one expected. Hope. Jack stood on the cliff again, watching the twin suns set, the Shadow Reaper beside him, as always. "Do you ever regret it?" the beast asked. "Giving up the Empire? You could have ruled 300 worlds." Jack shook his head. "Empires are built on control. This is built on trust. I know which one will last longer." The Shadow Reaper rumbled its approval. Humans. Strange. Weak bodies. Soft skin, but strong here. It tapped Jack's chest where his heart was. "We all have strength," Jack replied. "The galaxy just needs to learn where to look for it." Below them, the sanctuary thrived. The ice giant was teaching young creatures about patience. The shapeshifter was helping others accept themselves. The psychic child was showing newcomers they were not alone. And the former empress was reading bedtime stories to a group of frightened hatchlings, her voice gentle and kind. Counselor Thresh contacted Jack one final time. "The council has made a decision," the ancient being said. "Your sanctuary has changed galactic policy. We are establishing the compassion doctrine. Any being, regardless of species or ability, has the right to seek refuge and healing." Jack's eyes widened. That is going to change everything." "It already has," Thresh replied. "Because of you, because of one human who saw a monster and chose to see a person instead." "It was not just me," Jack said, looking at the Shadow Reaper. "It was all of us." "Indeed." Thresh paused. "The galaxy is learning, Jack Morrison. Slowly, but learning. That true strength is not in domination, it is in compassion." The communication ended. Jack sat down on the cliff's edge, his legs dangling over the valley. The Shadow Reaper curled around him protectively, like a giant cat. "What do we do now?" the beast asked. Jack smiled. "We keep going, keep healing, keep teaching the galaxy that there is no such thing as a monster. Only beings who have been hurt and need help," the Shadow Reaper purred. "Good plan." As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Jack thought about everything that had happened, the challenge, the battle, the choices made by everyone involved. He thought about how close they had all come to destruction and how far they had come toward healing. The sanctuary lights turned on below, creating a constellation on the ground that matched the stars above. Somewhere in that light, creatures who had been alone their entire lives were playing together. Former weapons were learning to be friends. Broken souls were learning to be whole, and a fallen empress was learning that redemption was possible. Jack pulled out a small recorder and began his nightly log. Day 97 of the Galactic Sanctuary. We were attacked today. We survived. We grew stronger. Tomorrow, 15 new arrivals from the Andromeda sector. Mostly younglings who manifested abilities their families could not understand. He paused, looking at the Shadow Reaper. "We will teach them what we have learned, that being different is not being dangerous, that power is not the same as violence, that the galaxy has been wrong about so many things for so long." The Shadow Reaper added its own voice to the recording. "And that humans make good friends." Jack laughed. "Yes, that too." He ended the recording and stood stretching his tired muscles. There was work to do tomorrow, new arrivals to welcome, old traumas to help heal, a galaxy to slowly change, one creature at a time. But tonight, he would rest, beside a beast that was once called unkillable, in a sanctuary built on compassion. Under stars that shined on a universe, learning that the strongest empire was not built on fear, it was built on trust, and it would last forever. The end.